Hello and welcome to Get Into Games on Air, a podcast about board games and the people who play them. This is episode 24, Molinarius Games. I am Craig, as always, and I am joined by Becky.
Hi.
Hello, how are you doing this fine, sunny, glorious day?
I am better because there was no podcast last week.
No.
But I think it was because we both had a bug and no one wants a podcast while people have bugs.
No one likes bugs.
So we're all better now.
We are all better. You can hear it in my dulcet tones. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's enough hearing from us. No one wants to hear about us or our bugs or from us. For. They didn't click on that link that said Molinarius Games and think, that's what I want to hear about. I want to hear about Craig and Becky talking about the norovirus. What they wanted to know is, who are Molinarius Games? Well, have we got a treat in store for you? We have the wonderful Lee from Molinarius Games himself, as well as Mike, the designer of Shoal, a game about shoals of fish. Shoals. Hello. How are you doing?
Hello.
What an intro.
Good, thanks. I think we can also report we are also bug-free this week, so
hooray! Did you have a bug too?
Did you have a bug, or you're just bug-free?
Just bug-free.
Yeah. Cool. Haven't reached them yet.
Phew. Right, that's it.
Through the airways. Cool.
Okay, so which one of you would like to introduce yourself first and have a little bit about you? Lee.
Go ahead, Lee.
Why not jump in and tell me who you are?
Yeah, so I'm Lee Miller. I'm a member of the team that runs Molinarius Games, and we've been going for 4 years now. Small indie company in the UK, based in Leicestershire, and we currently have five games at the moment. So 6. Maybe next week, depending on what happens with Cake of Doom, which I'm sure we'll mention a bit later. But yeah, that's us. We started with one small game, which we really wanted to publish, and over the last couple of years, we've just kind of added to the catalogue as we've gone along, including one of Mike's designs.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm Mike. I am the game designer of Shoal, very recent member of the Molinarius team. Shoal launched this year at the UK Games Expo, and been having a blast ever since.
Yeah, it's really a cool game. We got to play it, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then we brought it home and have shown loads of people. It's really like a quick, easy game to like pick up the rules, but like to try and get the scoring just right. It's quite thinky, puzzly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's good as well, like having so many objectives and different ways of playing it and different ways of having to score, which just makes it the perfect.
And you can take it everywhere because it's in a small box.
It's in a very small box, and that is perfect
It is.
for transportation.
Shall we find out a bit more about them through the quick-fire questions?
I think quick-fire questions are the way to go here. I think we will.
So I'm going to fire a question at you. I guess let's have Lee answer first, then Mike. Just
what's
for,
the like
so order type.
Yeah. Okay.
Because otherwise we might have shouting over each other. I don't know.
Shouting, they're going to get so eager. They'll be yelling and
Yeah,
kicking.
but we're just might be confusing. So
Everything's
okay.
confusing.
First game you ever played?
For me, I think it was probably Yahtzee or Cluedo, something very old school like that.
No.
For me, my first kind of proper board game memory, I'd say, is me and my brother playing the Simpsons board game. It was on a big board. You could go visit the Quickie Mart and Moe's Tavern and do all these silly games to win tokens. That's my first kind of board game memory, I'd say.
Nice. The first game you bought?
I was probably say fairly recently, about 8-9 years ago, I went round to a friend's house and he said, we're going to have a pizza and play a game. And I was like, a game? Board game? I've not played a board game for a long time. And then we played Catan, and the next day I went out and bought it. That was kind of, I'm sure it's one of everyone's intro games, right? And then kind of took off from there, really. So I still remember going and picking that up the next day. I was so excited.
Nice.
I would say my first board game that I bought would be Risk.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay. A theme you would always play.
Ooh, I'm a sucker for IPs. So for me, it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Huge Star Wars nerd, and Fantasy Flight. I've tested my patience a lot over the last 10, 15 years with X-Wing. I bought all the X-Wing stuff. That came out, I went crazy. And then Outer Rim, I played that for a little while. But I think the best game that Fantasy Flights have done on the Star Wars theme is the deck builder. The two-player deck building game is just so perfect. To the point that I'm deliberately I haven't played Shatterpoint, and I'm not played the Unlimited, which we were chatting about earlier. I haven't played that just because I love the deck building game. The theme of that is so good. I will just constantly go back to it.
And there's the new one.
Yes.
The Clone Wars, where you can actually incorporate it with the old one or play it as a standalone.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's very cool.
Nice. And you, Mike?
I always gravitate towards animal-based games, but mainly, nautical games. But if it's got like a boat or a fish or a whale or something in it, I'm like, you know what, you've got my interest.
Yeah, cool. Favourite mechanism?
Oh, I like engine building or deck building. Something that you're in control of, that you can slowly build towards. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like tableau building. I think that's a big draw for me.
Cool. Favourite player count?
As long as it's even number, I don't care. 2 or 4. I don't like 3 players. Because I get very angry if someone tends to be the kingmaker and doesn't let me win. So 2 or 4.
I go 4 or 5 is my sweet spot.
Oh, nice. Colour you choose to play as?
Green.
Orange is my go-to.
Oh, not many people go for orange. Although we did have someone. Was it Chris who played orange? Oh, yeah, okay. Most interesting place you've played a board game?
I think this is not really that interesting, but it's something I'll always remember, is the prototype for the Lake District game, which was our first game. Before we were a proper board game company, me and my wife played in a pub in the Lake District, and a few people from the pub were coming over saying, "Excuse me, where'd you get that game from?" Or "Where's that game?" And that was kind of the start of our journey. So playing that Lake District game in the Lake District in that pub is kind of a core memory for me. So I'd have to say that.
Nice.
Me and my brother-in-law and best mate, we played a board game the morning of my wedding. So that was a big special moment for me. It was a lot to laugh and a memorable time.
What game was it?
It was Sushi Go Party, my favourite game.
That's cool. Yeah. Nice. A game you never want to play again?
Ooh.
I don't know why this just popped into my head, but when I was younger, I would have to trade games with my sister. So I would play a game that she liked to play, then she'd play Hero Quest with me, and I had to play a game called Dream Phone.
Oh, I remember that. Oh my god, it had the phone in the middle. You had to make the call. Yeah. Oh my god.
So I'd be quite happy if I never had to play that ever again. I don't think I ever will, but that just popped into my head.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I've had a rough time playing Munchkin. I think we've had a couple of goes, and I'm not sure what it is, but I'm struggling to click with it.
Yeah, we found it quite hard. I think you've got to get into the sort of character, but it doesn't do much for me.
Also, the right player count, and it is just pure, just continuously take that.
Yeah.
The whole game, it's kind of...
your favourite convention?
As a publisher, UK Games Expo.
Mm-hmm.
As a punter, if you like, probably Aircon.
Yeah.
Mine's got to be UK Games Expo.
Yes. The most beautiful game, in your opinion?
Probably a little bit biased, but I would say Ocean Pods. The artwork is... I love it. It's obviously... It was one of the coolest things, seeing that all come together. So yeah, I love that game.
Nice.
I love the range and the love and attention that's gone into Wingspan. Based on, love the nature theme, and there's so much has gone into every single card and all the expansions. I absolutely love it.
Cool. And in your opinion, the most underrated game that maybe people have not heard of?
That's a tough one. I was going to say Star Wars deck builder, but we've already talked about that. Do you know, there's a game called Library Labyrinth, which not that many people will know, by Descent Games, who are another indie company, and that's my wife's favourite game, and I really like it. It's a co-op game about working in a library and trying to find authors to books and match them up, which doesn't sound like an exciting topic, but it's such an underrated game. It's not that many people know about it, so I do tend to point people towards that game.
That sounds good.
I really like a game called Ravine. It's about, I forget the publisher. I think it was called Timber and something. I'll look it up after. But it's you kind of get given a passport each, and you're stranded on an island, and you've got to cooperate together to gather resources to then eventually get rescued off the island.
Oh,
cool.
cool.
That sounds good.
That sounds
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. That's really cool.
Really cool.
I like it.
Okay. They were all my questions.
They were.
Very
Yeah.
good, though.
So, yes.
Did
I will
we pass?
Yeah. Let me check. B+. No.
Well, you answered all the questions. I
Yeah.
think we've had some guests that couldn't answer all the questions, so
Nice.
that's good.
Yeah. Cool. So, Lee, over to you as far as a question. So, you are a publisher, and your first game was Lakes, as you mentioned. What really got you into the that side of things? What made you want to become a publisher and that kind of thing? What was the driving force behind it?
Yeah, good question. I'm still trying to figure some of that out. But initially, I worked in finance. I was a finance director and a chief financial officer, and did lots of different finance jobs, and worked for a big company and had quite a successful career. But during COVID, without getting too morbid, we kind of lost a few people, and then after that, we had some family changes as well. And I well, what's important in life? What do I want to do? Do I want to keep working for this big kind of corporate company and working these long hours, or do I want to take some time and do something that I wanted to do? And so me and my wife decided we were going to do this Lake District game just for us, because it was a project that we could work on together, and we knew there wasn't a Lake District game because we've been to quite a few shops. And so, as I said, we were in the pub playing a prototype, and we suddenly thought this could be something that people might want to buy. So we relatively naively said, let's just stick on Kickstarter. It can't be that hard to do a Kickstarter campaign. And my brother's a graphic designer, so he did the artwork. And so between us, it was a very family-driven project, which is why we ended up calling the company Molinarius. And then from that, our Kickstarter was quite successful, and at the same time, I got made redundant. So we thought maybe this is something that I could do whilst I'm looking for another job.
Yeah.
And then I just decided I just love it. It was just so great, and meeting other publishers has been fantastic, and artists and everyone in the industry, as you know, is so nice. It's completely different from the kind of corporate cutthroat world. It's exact opposite. And so I just thought this is what I want to do. And so that was 4 years ago, and I'm still doing this. So it is a job, but I love it. It's great working with all these cool people like yourselves. So yeah, it's really good. And Mike as well. So yeah, it's fantastic. That was our journey.
So does the Lake District hold some special memory for you and your wife, or why the Lake District in particular?
It's just somewhere we go on holiday 3-4 times a year. It's somewhere, when I was working in the corporate world, we could get away from everything because there's relatively no Wi-Fi and everything else. So we would go there, ironically, and play games and drink wine and go hiking and just get away from everything. And then Ocean Pods, which was our second game, I really wanted to do a dice drafting game because I love dice drafting games. And we wanted to do, again, something a bit more environmental with no plastic, and so for charity. And again, the lessons we learned from the first game, again, naively, I thought, we'll just do another Kickstarter because this is easy. And we've been really lucky because I think the artwork's good and the games are good, so they do sell themselves. But I love it. It's great.
So what do you prefer? Do you prefer the designing side of things, or do you prefer that publishing side of things? Would you rather just get Mike on board and just publish?
I was talking to someone about this a couple of weeks ago and said, and I got asked that exact question. And I love the designing side. That's where the fun is. but my business brain from my previous career naturally draws me towards, when Mike's talking about all these cool add-ons he's got, my brain is adding up how much that's going to cost us and everything else. So I tend to be the negative Nelly in our group going, oh yeah, but that's going to cost us X, or that's going to cost us Y. So I think my natural position is to do the publishing side, because it's more business orientated, and obviously I can do the taxes and the accounting and all the boring stuff naturally.
Yeah.
So I prefer to do the designing, but when you work with really, really talented designers like Mike, it's hard to then say, oh, well, I'll just design the next game, because I know that there are people out there that are much, much better than that at me. So I like the designing, but now I can pick and choose what projects I want to do, because we've got other designers in the team.
Yeah. So you've split into Molinarius Blue and Black now, haven't you? Do you want to explain a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to our core customer base, really, which is all of our games, the Lake District, Ocean Pods, Shoal, deliberately are all aimed at the same target audience, so couples or people who want them for games nights as kind of an intro game at the beginning or a game at the end when you've got 15-20 minutes. And we've always kept that price point under £20, so it's so we know what it is, and our customers know what they're buying when they come to us. But we've always, Mark and I, Mark's in Molinarius as well, one of the game designers, and we've always wanted to build this game, Time Troopers, but it doesn't fit in the parameters of our other games. So, and we knew it was going to take us 2 or 3 years to do this justice. So we decided rather to just focus on that game, because it was so out of place, to split the company in half, so that someone coming to the stand would understand our blue division, which is our family games and our small games, but then the people that are coming to play Time Troopers, there is some crossover, but what we saw at Games Expo this year is the people who love Time Troopers wouldn't necessarily want to pick up a Shoal, and the people who are picking up a Shoal wouldn't necessarily want to sit down and demo Time Troopers. So I think it's kind of splitting the company in two deliberately, so we can target the right audience for those games.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. Before we go on to Time Troopers, because I reckon I could talk about Time Troopers forever. Shall we talk about Shoal with Mike? So how did the idea come about, Mike, for Shoal?
So we came out of a games night, and as much as I love big box games, it is the small boxes that draw me in, not only because you could fit more onto a shelf, but you know, I just find it easier to manage. So I just wanted to have something that was as really quick to set up, get to the table, but still have as much fun as you can with like a big game. And it all came from managing resources on cards, but in order to get a second resource, you have to cover up a resource on a second card. So then from there came the card layering mechanic. Originally, it started off as, I think it was like a hermit crab game. So you were dressing up a shell, and as you were layering cards on top of one another, you were building up the shell, but you were covering one part to build up another, and then you could swap shells, but it all became far too much. But then the more I kind of built up and then stripped away, the more like putting one card on top of another, and then maybe this one on top of another, it felt like you were building something. And naturally, my interest drew me to, go away from maybe a hermit crab. It then turned into fish, a group of fish, and then as I was layering them up, it seemed to be ever changing and moving a lot. So then it just became into a group of fish.
It's cool because, like the idea that you can't kind of place your fish away from the shoal, it has to be all connected to the one group of fish. They all have to be facing the same way, don't they?
Yes, that's right.
And there are, I don't know, I can't remember how many objectives you might know, Mike, there are, but you can change up the game quite a lot by just swapping in and out those objectives.
So there's 8 different cards in the box, each with 3 different objectives on each card, but the one objective that's consistent throughout all of them is the total amount of fish in your shoal. So that's something that could sway your total score is the total amount of fish in the shoal, and then 3 extra objectives on every card, which could be whoever has the most green fish gets -6, or Whoever has the fewest amount of circle-shaped fish gets X amount of points. The first one to have the most triangle fish gets these amount of points. So it's always kind of because I didn't. It's a little bit of multiplayer solitaire. It's a little bit of that, but I only did that so it wasn't so take that hiya, and then you end up having one player having a bit of a bad time.
Yeah, I like that. I think that I would be annoyed if someone was interfering with my shoal, because it feels like, although there's like a common deck to draw, there's a pile face down and a pile that's face up, right? Mm-hmm. So you can sort of affect the other person by taking a particular card that they might need because they've got something that needs covering up. You can do that, but you're not doing, right, well, I'm going to now put this on your shoal and mess you up.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that having that interaction, or even looking at a card and going, I know I don't want those fish, so I'm going to take a gamble and take the face down one, and then leaving that card for the next player to make the same decision. I felt like that was enough for people to be looking at each other and say, it's a little bit of a hair, you can have that card, but it's just the right amount that people won't flip the table at the end.
Yeah, no, it's very cool.
I think it's also one of those games that I quite like, that we can play with our eldest daughter.
Yeah.
And she can play on a very basic level, building up the fish. But we can play sort of strategically, and so it's not like one of those games where you're like, I have to, like Dream Phone, I have to play this game because, I've been made to play it, because it's a children's game, but actually everybody can enjoy it at their level, with their level of strategy or whatever. And then you score the points at the end, and actually I don't even care what the score is at the end, because it's just been such a fun sort of puzzle to try to work it out.
Yeah. And it's having that kind of, everyone's got the shared objective, but you compare everyone's shoal at the end after everyone's put down 10 cards, and everyone's trying to solve their own puzzle, and they all look completely different, and everyone's trying to solve it in different ways. So straight away you have that replayability to be like, if only I didn't put that card there, or if only I had that card, or I really wanted that one, so you go again. So, it was really fun.
So how did I take it you weren't did you design the card, the game with Molinarius in mind, with Lee in mind, or how did that come about? How did this romantic collusion come about?
I'll let you take this one, Mike.
All right, okay. So I was making a game, and it wasn't until I cracked the whole putting a card on top of another card, but then what problem does that make, and how do players find the solution? Because for quite a while it kept a rectangular cards, and something wasn't working, and then it went down to square cards, and then I thought, are people going to like square cards? Is that a thing that people do? And so through time, and when I had the puzzle element solved, I was like, oh, you know what? There's a game here. I reckon I could do this. So then that kind of built confidence, and then I was like, how do you even pitch a game? So I was, going onto YouTube and finding lots of things, and it was kind of like a year and a half in the making. And I went to UK Games Expo for the first time last year in 2023, and I stumbled across Lee's store, and we had a good chat there, and I saw that they had ocean pods and we had a good chat, and I definitely remembered it going away. So when was it? January this year, and I was ready to pitch it. I had my sell sheet together, made my how-to videos and everything like that. And I had a list of the companies that I wanted to send it out to, and Lee was there. He was one of at the top of the list. Sent them out. I had the response, and here we are.
Cool, excellent.
Yeah, from the publisher side, it was really cool because I got the sell sheet from Mike and the email, and I wouldn't say we get a lot, but we get 10 to 15 games pitched to publishers every now and again, and there was just something about the artwork from Shoal, which, as people know now, is really cool, and the square cards and the artwork and everything else, and the sell sheet was really professionally laid out. Not that that's important, because you can kind of do that later on, and even if the artwork's not finished but the mechanics are there for a game, we can put that in as well. But all of it together just looked really nice. So we set up a call with Mike and Mark, and we went through, and probably within 10 to 15 minutes, the game itself we knew was going to be great and fit we were discussing earlier about our customer base. We knew our customers would love it, and all the people that were coming to buy an Ocean Pods, we knew would buy a Shoal. The new people coming to buy a Shoal, we knew would buy an Ocean Pod. So it fit perfectly in with our brand, and as you know now, Mike's so lovable and nice so that I thought I could probably take advantage of him. So that was good as well from a publishing side. But no, in all seriousness, it was a dream for us. We'd not published a game that we'd not designed in our team, so it was a bit of a risk, but. We straight away I thought this will sell. So we didn't even go to Kickstarter. We just agreed with Mike we would do a small print run, take it to Games Expo, and take it from there. And it's kind of just blown away. Retailers are after it, and now we're doing the Board Game Arena alpha test at the moment. So that should be on Board Game Arena in the next couple of weeks. And can't say too much, but touch wood, we've got a few licensing deals in the pipeline as well, so it's just gone crazy. So it's definitely a worthwhile call with Mike.
That's very cool.
I think that personable nature is really important because particularly at UK Games Expo, we walked past so many stalls where people were sort of sat behind their stall and you think you've paid for a pitch and they're not selling their game, and you're like, well, what are you offering? Whereas I think we were waiting for Time Troopers, you said, speak to Mike about Shoal. He was really personable. We were like straight in there. There was a little like, what's it called? Chart. There was a chart where people, scoreboard, that's it. I can't remember my words. And, you were straight in there, excited about your game, and that gets other people excited. That's important, right? There's lots of people out there producing loads of games, but you've got to sell it to everybody. I think you've won the battle with your, passionate about what you've done and what you've created, I think.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think you can fake that either. It's something which people pick up on, and obviously when we were discussing, I said to Mike, you're the best person to pitch your game because you love it so much, and Mark, who does the demos, he's also really passionate, and you were talking about when you did Time Troopers demo, and I know for a fact that Mark would have been really engaged and enthusiastic because he's naturally passionate about these things as well, and they're the people you want demoing the games.
So do you have any other games in the pipeline, Mike? Are there other things going round your head for different...
Yeah, I've definitely got 2 or 3. I'm still riding this high of Shoal, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I've got 2 or 3 kind of scraps of paper. But exciting things coming.
So how long was your very first thought of what Shoal could be? How long did that take you to make it a fully fledged game? Was your first initial piece of paper that you drew 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Has it been something bubbling away, or was that?
I'd say because I'm a big kind of thinker and dreamer, but I don't put things on paper. So I'd say, I just thought, wouldn't it be great if this happened, and then I wouldn't do anything about it. But so if I was to say from putting pen to paper, I'd say about on and off a year and a half.
Okay.
It took to get to, especially to build confidence, because as I was making the game, I was getting to a certain point, and I was like, who's going to buy this? Who's going to want this? Who's going to pick this up? So, you kind of drop off, and then I'd keep thinking about it. And they're like, you know what? I'll give it another go. And so it definitely wasn't until it clicked for me that I was like, there's definitely something here. But then I would play it so much that I was like, am I still having fun? So then I go through another wave of being like, well, what if I tried it like this? Well, talking to friends and family. Well, do you mind playing this? And definitely a big success of mine was playing it with my mum and dad, and we got through a successful round and finished the game, and no one asked questions. There was no, what do I do with this and where does this go? And I was like, it's success. It's something, it works, it clicks. And so another confidence boost came. So yeah, year and a half.
Sorry, I was just going to say, it's not just the game, though, either, because obviously once we've got that game, we've got to do a rule book, we've got to do the box, we've got to do all that sort of stuff, which was all new for Mike, but his enthusiasm just carried on all the way through. So I was like, Mike, this is the bit that's a little bit boring. We've got to sit down and design the box and put all the kite marks on there and the registration numbers and stuff. And even then, Mike was like, brilliant, where can we put the registration? So working with a designer that's so excited to get kind of the box design done and the rule book design and everything else, and wanted to be part of it all the way through, kept my energy levels up and kept me excited as well.
Actually, that's what I was going to say. That's probably one of the best things. That's the best thing about your game. I'm just going to say the box.
It is.
Having the 4 rules of the game on the 4 sides of the box is just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them, Mike?
That's 100% Lee's idea.
That was my only...
Sorry, Mike. Yeah, it was a terrible idea. I would just stick with a book.
It's really good because, like, sometimes I forget the rule about like which cards can cover what things, and you just literally turn the box. You're like, oh, that okay, nice, right, got it.
Just a neat, quick reference guide, because there was a couple of times where I was thinking of, there's lots of games that I play, everyone has a player aid, a quick reference just to have a look at it. But as soon as Lee said, slap it on the box, absolutely, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And considering there's literally essentially four main rules to the game.
Yeah.
And
That's it. Yeah, and it very nearly wasn't 4 rules. There was a lot more to it, and I was like, this is, I want to just cut the fat off it and trim it down to make it so easy to bring to the table. So having them on the box is a big plus, and it works.
That was my only contribution to the whole to the whole game. But no, I think that's why it worked really well, was because Mike was open to listen to ideas, but at the same time we were very respectful of, and still are, this is your baby, so you will have the final decision as the designer, even though obviously it's a Molinarius game. We respect the fact that Mike's got this vision for it, and we want to keep that vision, which I don't know if all, like, the bigger publishers would necessarily work that way, but having a smaller indie publish like us, we want to please the designers, but also we know that Mike's got this vision, and we try to stick to that.
And I'll just say it now, not to blow smoke up Lee's ass or anything, but him and the team have been absolutely great throughout. They've been so open to feedback, and should we change this, and what can we do about this, that, and the other. Lee and the team have just been great throughout, taking it on to working through it, getting it to production, and setting up at the UKGE. So yeah, hats off to them. They've been great.
Mike's not had his commission paid this month, so that's why he's.
Because when it comes to pitching it, because I knew in order to pitch it, there needed to be some kind of visuals to it. So I put the illustrations together and put it on, completely open, going into it knowing that a publisher might want to change this, that, and the other, because they want it to fit in with their catalogue. But instead of fish, we want it to be tractors, or if they wanted to change it to whales or anything like that, then I was completely open to it. But the fact that Lee and the guys said that they wanted to keep it as is, I was like, oh, really? Are you really sure about this? And then they liked it. So
I really like the artwork of the fish, though. They're they stand out, and it's different to anything else that I've seen, but they're really endearing. The fish are, I think.
Yeah,
they look cool.
Thank you.
Well, we're trying to get them made into plushies or pillows, because that would be cool. But the fact that it's a shoal means we'll have to make 2 or 3 of them so that they'll Velcro together or something, maybe. But yeah, we'll do something.
Fuzzy felt fish. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Are you do you have any other conventions this year? Are you taking it anywhere else, or are you?
We don't, because we honestly didn't know how it would go down at Games Expo, and we had to reorder some more stock fairly quickly, which is good. We're going to go Tabletop Scotland, but decided not to, and we've got so much on with our other projects at the moment, and so it's selling really well to retail, so and still to the public through the website. So we're not going to take it anywhere. We will take it to Aircon next year, and we'll probably. We will have the stall at Games Expo again next year, but I think we might do a cheeky Aircon Northwest or something like that as well.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, we were umming and ahhing going to Tabletop Scotland, weren't we?
We were.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been decided, has it?
No, it's September, isn't it? Or is it October? Yeah. It's sometime.
Yeah, I think for us it was just the Edinburgh accommodation was. Because we've left it too late. When we looked at the accommodation, it was very expensive for what we would get back. So we just decided to give it a miss this year, but maybe next year.
And do you know who else is from Scotland?
No.
Did you know
something is coming?
that the sponsor of this podcast is Rent Shuffle and Roll? That's www.rentshuffleandroll.co.uk. They're a lovely couple, all the way from sunny Scotland. I don't know whether that's true at the moment with the weather at the moment, but hey ho.
I thought you weren't sure whether it was true that they were from Scotland.
No, they're definitely from Scotland.
Right,
I've seen that.
Okay.
But did you know that you can head to www.rentshuffleandroll.co.uk?
Yeah.
This is a no edits.
Yeah.
www.rentshuffleandroll.co.uk and use code GITG50 to get 50% off your first month's board game rental with Rent Shuffle and Roll. Did you know that? You should have done. We've done 24 episodes. How many times have we done this? The foot's on the other shoe now, Rebecca.
Maybe they have a copy of Lakes or Ocean Front.
Maybe they do. Or they don't.
They do. They have all our games.
There you go. They have all the games. So head to rentshuffleandroll.co.uk, use code GITG50 and rent all of those glorious Molinarius games.
They don't have one of those games, though, because one of those games isn't out yet.
No. And what game is that?
Time Troopers!
Well, let's discuss that then.
I feel like Becky should pitch Time Troopers to me because you seemed very enthused about it at the Games Expo.
Yeah. I think we told everyone we walked past and went, go over there now. Just go and do it now.
So it is very different to everything else you offer. Do you want to explain what Time Troopers is?
It's my baby, same as Shoal is Mike's baby. This was the game that I always wanted to make, but didn't quite know how to do it. And so once we'd been in the industry a while, it was something which we were doing in the back burner. But again, just toying around with it until we knew. Well, we needed some funds to get some artwork and some bits and pieces together. But yeah, Time Troopers at its core is a solo only game, which again is completely different to what else we've done. But we think there's a market out there for a game which is solo only, that you can set up in 5 minutes, play a mission in 45 minutes, and then pack it away in 5 minutes without it living on the dining room table forever and a day. And we call that the Love Island setup. So can you set a game up, play it, and pack it away before an episode of Love Island finishes? Because we think there's a market out there for that type of game. But the game itself is solo deck building, and as the name suggests, you are a gang of time troopers going back in time to steal artifacts which are rich in dark matter, and it takes place through a choose your own kind of adventure book as a mission book. So you will all start in the same place and end in the same place, but you'll have kind of different experiences along the way playing through these missions through the 8 different time zones. I don't want to give too much away, but we should have more on GameFound very soon. We've also commissioned a music composer to do 24 times 45-minute music scores.
Oh, wow.
So you have a Spotify playlist. So if you're in an Egyptian tomb, you will have a playlist that goes with it, which has been written Egyptian tomb music, which we know that towards the end of that mission, the music will slowly crescendo up because we know that there's a battle scene coming towards the end. Or if you're in ancient Japan, then it'd be ancient Japan music. So it doesn't really add to the gameplay itself, but this is the game that we want because it's a solo game. I think it's really important that it's immersive and you're kind of you're playing it and you're engaged. And because it's only cards as well and a handful of dice, we think it's a type of game that playing solo with this music on and everything else and your save points, your decisions, your choose your own adventure books, it's going to be a real immersive campaign experience that people will get quite attached to.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
I think one thing that blew my mind when we played the demo at UKG was we were playing it and it's phenomenal, amazing, pure, just brilliant.
I just want to clarify 2 things though. Only a card game is not true. It's not only a card game. No. It's a card game, a card game never before.
Yeah, because the one thing that I think that made it completely different to me was we were playing, we were going, okay, we can do this, and then all of a sudden it was this card came out. It's well, here's a side quest. I was a side. What happened? What?
How?
It's no, I'm going to do this mission, but you've just hung some very low-hanging fruit over here. What is going? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, so the side quests are kind of one of my favourite games is Gloomhaven, and there's lots of kind of things where you can, the unlocks, if you play Gloomhaven, the unlocks at the back of the book.
Yeah.
So that was something I was very conscious of is, let's say you, Craig, were playing Time Troopers, and you'd be like, oh, wasn't it cool when you unlocked the samurai sword? And Becky might be like, oh, I never unlocked a samurai sword, I got a Viking shield. And so having that unique adventure, which is bespoke to you, is something which was really important to us. And to do that, like say, really low-hanging fruit was, let's have some side quests, because that doesn't happen very often in these card games and campaign games. So you have to choose, well, do I go for the side quest and spend longer, in which case I might lose this mission, or do I just go straight to the end and I'll never know what that unlock was?
But those things, those side quests to unlock those things, but they affect the next mission. You have that, so it's like something that you're building, and I know it's solo only, but there's no reason you couldn't cooperatively play like we did the demo.
That's the
like
second
the two
thing
of
I was
us.
going to say. Whilst it's been set up as a solo game, I think we would quite enjoy playing it cooperatively and making the decisions together and playing it.
That's something which has come out of the playtest, and we've had a father and a daughter and a father and a son as well, where the daughter was slightly too young to play it on her own, but she understood what was going on if her dad was making the decisions, and she was it was something they would do together, which we'd not really anticipated. So I think when we do launch it, we may say solo with cooperative. You can play cooperatively,
But the artwork is amazing, and like the level of detail on the cards. This is why it's not only a card game, because like the borders tie in with the era that you're
the way the numbers are written, it's very.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to work with a really great graphic designer, Rob, who we've worked on Rob Ingle, who've worked on a few projects. And he's great. And same as when Mike gave me the credit for writing on the side of the box for Shoal, there's been a lot of these ideas have come from Mark Pallet, who was doing the demo with you. And so quite a lot of the time is I'll have these ideas and I'll set the demo up, and then Mark will say things like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if all of the artwork matched the dice? Like the Viking mission, for instance, is obviously it's all wooden because it's Vikings. So we've got a kind of burnt wooden dice, and then I think it's cherry blossom is the colour of the samurai dice because it takes place in a cherry blossom field. So all those ideas just keep adding up, but because it's taken us a year and a half to get to this stage, we're trying to build something which is really cool rather than just rush it to GameFound. So those little things which you mentioned, that's the stuff which proper gamers in inverted commas appreciate. I think when you go make that extra effort.
Yeah.
So how many? I can't remember how many stories are there, or eras are there? 7 or 8, was it?
There's 8 time zones. Don't ask me to mention what they are because I won't be able to remember them all.
No,
so there's 8 time zones, and each one has at least 3 missions, depending on how you choose your story. So you will do at least 24. Well, you do at least 25 because there's a end level, which I won't go into, which is set in the future. And so you will take part in at least 25 missions, and each one of those missions will last around 40 to 45 minutes. So there's a lot of game to play as a campaign mode, but because it's choose your own adventure, you could reset it and play it again and just make different choices if you wanted to as well. So it is possible to replay it as well.
And we talked about this at UKG, but the idea that you don't have to buy these eras separately, that they're all going to be in the box, is quite appealing. It's not sort of, oh, well, I really enjoyed that first one, now I'm going to have to go out and buy the subsequent next one. Like, it's all in the box. And obviously then if you decide to add eras later on, you can, but like the initial 8 eras is a good amount to kind of
and again, that's deliberate, just because I think being an indie publisher, we're not looking to maximize money from the consumer, which, a Fantasy Flights or someone else might be. We want to build something that's cool, and putting all of those 8 eras out to people where we could do 6 and still charge the same money and people would buy it. But putting all 8 out just tips it over the edge as an indie publisher to say, because we're competing with a lot of other games out there. So making those 8 levels and making them all accessible, I think is a no-brainer. Hopefully for people to then go, oh, well, that's a bargain. Let's grab that then.
but also you're going to hit like lots of people's interests. So those people who like Egyptian games, great. Well, that's going to tick a box for them. People who like dinosaurs, great. Like that. But like it just hits so many. It's like yep, I like that. Yep, I like that.
We tried to make it as historically accurate as we could as well. So there's a lot of research going on, and me and Mark were arguing quite a lot because he really wanted velociraptors and I wanted T-Rexes, and they don't live in the same time in the same place, so we can have both. So just little things like that cropped up, and he was like, well, no one will notice. And I was like, no, if we're doing it, let's do it properly.
Yeah.
But what happens if the velociraptor was a time trooper? He walked through the portal.
Maybe an expansion.
But
you play as a dinosaur.
The other thing I found that was really interesting was the what do you call the? I guess it's the time, isn't it? Different cards have different amounts of time on it, and so you can only do with what you've got. So you might have only 2 time, and so you can't do as much. And that kind of mechanism.
The managing time as a resource was something which we had to put in the game, and we think it's quite unique that hopefully you didn't have to do this many times, that you get this time as a resource. So if you have a bad roll of a dice, you can spend time to rewind time and then re-roll that dice, which we've all played board games where you wish you could do that. So, but if you did that, then you couldn't then spend time to bring out more troopers or to take certain actions. So I don't know of any card games where you have that timeline mechanic where you roll the dice with the 1, 2, 3 to see what the event is in the future, and then if you don't like that event, change that card and re-roll. So that's quite a core mechanic in the game, but I think it's quite unique as well and plays into the theme. And the same as Shoal, if you have a great engine and a great theme, but they don't marry up, it can ruin a game. Whereas I think Shoal and Time Troopers both kind of the theme of the game and the mechanics of the game link perfectly.
So you're not allowed to say it's only a card game ever again.
I won't do.
She'll come for you.
So when is this all going to, be available on GameFound or, wherever you're setting it up?
I'm dotting some I's and crossing some T's next week to do the first update with obviously everything happening at Games Expo and some more artwork, and the cards are ready. What we're trying to do is finish the game, so it's 100% finished, and at the minute we're still typing up and playtesting some of the later events, some of the later missions, which, in all honesty, we don't have to do until we've done the GameFound campaign, because we'll have time. But what we want to do is get it finished at the beginning, so that come November, December, we can say, it's coming live, please back our game, because it's very reasonably priced, and it's a fantastic game. Go and see Craig and Becky's podcast if you don't believe us. And then in a very short space of time, around 6 months, you'll get your game. We don't want it to be one of those games where it's, one of those campaigns where it's give us your money in 3 years. If the wind's blowing in the right direction, we'll send you this game. So we're trying to do it, all of the work at the start, so that when it goes live in November, December, the pledge to receiving window will be a lot shorter, which is something we've always done on all of our Kickstarters and GameFound campaigns. But the Molinarius Black games are going on GameFound, and the Blue Division is going on Kickstarter, because we already have that Kickstarter following and base. Yeah. Whereas we think Time Troopers just fits more with the gamers that would be on GameFound.
Yeah,
that's cool. And I think it's admirable that you don't want people waiting around for 3 years, because we've only ever backed one Kickstarter, but that's what puts me off is the long wait between paying for a game and then seeing it arrive, and then have you gone off it by the time it gets to you just because you've had to wait for so long. And so I think it's great that you're trying to get it finished.
Well, there's games that we know people have backed about 4 years ago that still haven't had their game, and they're unlikely to get it. And
it's the same, isn't it?
I backed ISS Vanguard, and that arrived earlier this year, and I waited 3 years for that. That's kind of the only one, really. I've been quite lucky with the other campaigns that I've backed. But But also at the same time, if no one pledges for these games, then they won't get made. And there's some great games that have come out of GameFound and Kickstarter as well, and especially indie publishers. They genuinely can't afford to just take the risk like we did with Shoal. That was a risk, but it was a small print run, so we're okay. Yeah. But when there's a lot more components in a game and a bigger game, people can't afford to generally make these games unless they get the money up front.
Yeah. And the amount of time and dedication that's been given over to the game, like when we saw Time Troopers and we saw some of the like behind the scenes of the later missions that you're talking about haven't been done yet, and it's like, that's a lot of work. You know, that's obviously being done in someone's time. You know, it needs paying for. You know, so everyone needs to go back it because I want to play it. So that's just that's how that works. Done, okay.
Yeah. And use code. No.
It's really exciting, and it definitely hooked me, and it was good. It's exciting times. So, have you got anything else? There was something else in the pipeline, wasn't there?
What?
Recently, just
are you referring to Cake of Doom?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we had some exciting news. There was a Rainy Day Games, who were a small UK publisher, run by two great people, Pearl and Amar, came up with a really cool game, and it's so quirky and fantastic. I know it's going to do really well. But it was a game that they made and produced, but didn't really know kind of how to maximise the marketing and what the Games Expo was all about and that kind of thing. So they were looking for someone to take the game, I guess, up the next level after a successful Kickstarter campaign, which unfortunately happens a lot, where you have a successful Kickstarter campaign and then it's like, well, what's the next step? Where do you go after that? If you're not a company, what do you do? And so we agreed to take on the IP for Cake of Doom, and we're going to do a bigger print run and get it out there under the Molinarius brand. Basically, I don't know how much you know about Cake of Doom, but the concept is aliens are trying to bribe humanity to take over the world using cake. So it's fantastically kind of abstract and obscure and colourful, and all these wonderful aliens, some of which have been designed by children and drawn, so the artwork's really in a completely different direction to some of our other games. But again, it will be in a same size box as Ocean Pods and Shoal, and it will be under £15, and we know that people are going to go crazy for this as well. So it just fits right into our Blue division. So we were really happy to take that IP on and kind of pitch it out there. And same as Mike, it means that Pearl and Amar can keep their baby alive and can kind of come and bring... they can come to Expo in the same way that Mike was pitching to you. They can come to Expo next year and pitch Cake of Doom to people as well. So it keeps talking earlier about design and publishing. They prefer to be designers rather than publishers. So now everyone's kind of happy. So I'm really excited about it.
And it's really nice that you are able to support other people in that way. You know, that's a very special thing to do, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a nice guy. I just want the profit from from the sales. I'm just seeing dollar sign. No, it's talking about having designers, and it's good business, but also you're right, at the same time, I'm never going to be a millionaire in this business, so if you can help someone and make some money at the same time, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, I think you are passionate about what you do, your games and other people's games, and that definitely comes across. You know, every time we've had interactions with you, it's really you know, positive and exciting, and and that other people clearly see that in you as well.
That's very nice, thank you.
Yeah, it's very cool. So, anything else in news updates or?
No, that's keeping me
quite a lot.
Fairly busy at the moment, and Mike's. We had a call with Mike where he's shown me his first draft of a couple of games, so we've got that to look forward to soon.
Good.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Well, one last thing that we always do on this podcast when we remember is our board game menus. Now, I'm not sure if you've had some time. I don't know if you've thought of something, or if you haven't, off the cuff. Who would like to give their board game menu first?
I'll let Mike go first because I've been talking for a while.
So I've cheated a little bit. I've gone for 2-player counts.
Okay.
If we're for a starter, if we're doing kind of like a 4-player count, I think I would go for No Thanks. Nice little card game. You bet encounters, and you can have about 2 or 3 kind of games to get you started. If we're going more than that, if we're going for about 6 players, I go Poetry for Neanderthals.
Nice.
Oh yeah, is that
Nice
the one
and
with the big
boisterous.
club?
With the club.
That's the one, yeah. You have an inflatable club, and you've got to try and get your teammates to guess the word on your card by only using single syllables. So that's always gone down a storm. So I definitely have that as a starter.
Cool.
Okay. The main?
As my main, it would be my. I've had a lot of time to think about what would be my favourite game, and it's Sushi Go Party.
Nice.
No matter the kind of audience and the player count I've shown it to, everyone has picked it up within like one round, and I've gone, right, I know what I'm doing. And what do you mean? What do you mean you kept that card? I needed that card. And then as soon as you finish you've all 3 rounds, someone goes, right, well, how can we play another one? You can change the different menus. A lot of kind of inspired kind of why I love that is I've definitely linked it into Shoal by having the different objective cards and having the different set menus in it. And Phil Garden is a big inspiration for me, so I definitely go Sushi Go Party as my main course.
Nice.
Very cool.
And then your dessert?
For dessert, I couldn't quite decide. If I was doing the smaller player count, I picked up vegetable stock at the UK Games Expo. We've played it a lot, and that's always gone down really neat. It's just a nice little card game, dead easy to teach, really quick to play. But if we are going more, I go a bit old school and go for Scattergrees. Scattergrees has really gone down well with family, and I feel like if it's winding down, it's nice to have that kind of time to sit, think, compare, and you're going to have some nice jokes and a little bit of banter between. What do you mean you wrote that down before it goes in a sandwich? It's really good fun. So I go for them.
That's
Very cool. Okay, over to Lee.
Okay, so for my starter, I would have a pan of wings. Sorry, that should be Wingspan. So yeah, I'd have Wingspan. I knew that I was going to love the game when I first saw it, and I was on holiday with my wife and actually arranged from a local board game shop to deliver it to us on holiday, which didn't go down that as well as I thought it would do. But yeah, I just love Wingspan. The artwork's fantastic, and talking earlier about it's the perfect combination of engine building, which I love, but also theme and everything else. You could almost put anything over the top of that engine. You could put Pokemon over the top of it and have the different types of Pokemon instead of the wetlands and the grasslands. You could put cars over it or aeroplanes. I just love the engine building and how as you get further and further into the rounds, it gets more and more intense. I think it's a quality game. So that would be my starter. For my main, my favourite game and favourite TV show at the same time is Battlestar Galactica.
Nice.
It's unfortunately it's not a game that I play a lot because I think it's something which you can only play when you've got a good 3-4 hours to spare, and you need to play it with players who already know how to play. But yeah, when you do get it out, when you do play it, every time I play, I just think, I should play this more often. And it's got this kind of myth about it in the board game world as well. So if anyone's listening and wants to give away any expansions for free, then please get in touch. But yeah, that would be my main. I think. Have you played Battlestar Galactica?
Is it the one that's been redone as Unfathomable?
Yes.
Yeah. Unfathomable is on my list of want to play, but it's like 3-player minimum kind of thing to do. And that's the kind of thing to get that kind of player count. Again, like you said, everybody who knows how to play it as well to get the most out of it.
Yeah, it's Yeah, I love it. And for my dessert, a bit of an oddball is Colt Express.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I love Colt Express.
It's a favourite of mine. It's something which quite early on we played a lot of. And I was talking to Mike about the mechanics of it. I've only ever seen it in this game where you kind of layer the cards out and then it unfolds like a movie at the end of the phase. And I just think there's something really beautiful about that when you've got 4 or 5 players. It doesn't really work with less than that, but when you have a big group of friends around for a games night, playing this game is just so great. Physically moving the meeples along the train and I just love it. I think it would work really well as a dessert for a dinner party board game.
We love Colt Express. We found that you can buy now the like AI versions of the characters. So they're individual decks. So you play your cards. So if we're playing together, we've got extra decks that we can have. So like fake controlled players, so that we turn their cards over and they do stuff. So cool. it can be played with lower player counts because we it's one of the
because we stopped
gateways.
Playing it because we stopped having lots of games night because of the kids and things.
Yeah,
and we couldn't really play it 2-player, but this allows us to play it.
Yeah,
and have a bit of
I think it's such an underrated game, and also I saw it at convention once, and I've never seen it since. Which was the Back to the Future expansion for it.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
where you had the Back to the Future car
the
going in front of the steam train, the DeLorean, and then you could get Doc Brown on the train and stuff. And I thought, I'll pick that up next time, and I've never seen it again.
Yeah, no, it's completely. The only expansions that you can get now are like the armored train, which puts a second train on the board.
We've got the
stagecoach one with the horses. Yeah, but. The base game is just perfect. Yeah. It's one of those.
Neither of them said Zuli.
None of them said Zuli.
No, Zuli was on my. I nearly mentioned Zuli instead of Dream Foam for my worst game ever that I would never play.
Oh my god!
So if you're listening, Chris, you can turn off now.
But thank you very much. They are wonderful menus. I think everyone should.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And keep your eyes peeled for Time Troopers.
Yes, and all the other things.
And go buy Shoal.
Yep.
And look out for any other games by Mike.
Yeah.
Because they're bound to be amazing.
And wait for Board Game Arena and eventually play Shoal on there and then go, this is really good. I'm going to buy myself a copy.
Still need to buy it,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. And where can everybody find you to follow you and
not stalk you,
stalk in the street preferably,
not your house.
Yeah, where do you live? If you could just dox yourself on the internet, that'd be great. How can people follow you and follow along with all the things that you do?
So all our information's on our website at Molinarius games.com, which I appreciate is quite hard to follow, or you could just go on Shoal, find Shoal on Board Game Geek or any of our other games on Board Game Geek, and there'll be links to Molinarius games from there.
Cool. Fantastic.
And how can they find you, Mike?
I've got a newly launched Instagram, but Board Game Peacock, so you can find me on there. Just posting things that I'm playing, things that I'm interested in. Come say hi.
Nice.
Wonderful. Cool.
Well, thank you for spending an hour with us chatting. It's been great.
It's been good fun.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Great. Thank you very much.
And thank you everyone for listening. Please follow Lee and Mike and the adventures of Molinarius Games. And as always, please leave us a wonderful 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice, because of course that's what we deserve. And if you don't think so, you can leave now. No, that's okay. Anyway, and we're going to go. So remember to get into Molinarius Games.
From Rent, Shuffle
and Roll using code GOTG50.
And remember
to
get into Shoal.
Wash.
That's a new game. That's
another one. Yeah. Okay. And remember to get into games. Thank you. Bye.